Hey, I'm Cory Hunter, and this is our film school, where we learn how to make movies by studying them. In the previous video, I focused on the themes of Superman and the movie Dawn of Justice, but here I want to focus on Batman. When Batman vs Superman first hit theaters, many were upset with the lack of Superman in this movie, with some claiming that Superman only had 47 lines in the film. It wasn't until I saw the film a second and then third time that I realized that this isn't a Superman movie, it's a Batman movie, with Superman's presence too big to be ignored. So with that said, let's dive into Batman's character's arc. The film begins with Daydream retracing Batman's origins from the death of his parents until he falls in the cave. Now this is significant when compared to the origin tales told previously. At first glance, this is merely a retelling of the same story we always know. The story of how Bruce Wayne's parents were killed and the impact it left on him, and eventually becoming Batman. This part of his origin has always been but one step in his decision to becoming Batman, but here, this is the moment he actually becomes Batman, at least metaphorically. But what comes out of even bigger consequences that in his origin tale, Bruce doesn't become Batman. Instead, this time around, he's chosen. In the darkness, in that cave, something greater chose him to become the Dark Knight. This ties into the message that Bruce is the mirror image of King Arthur, whom was also chosen. And this is the theme that is ran throughout the film, starting with this scene where his parents are killed. After seeing the film Excalibur, this also makes him an even more obvious opposite of Superman, where in Man of Steel, free will is a major thing, as it shows how Clark chose to be Superman. Here with Bruce, we see the ideal of fate, or rather destiny at play. Finally, this dream leaves us with one more message. It serves as a foreshadowing of the entire film, as we see Bruce morally descend into the darkness before being brought back up to the light. Now I hear the whole style over substance speech a lot when it comes to the scene, but it is a dream sequence, open for interpretation. Bruce has a second dream while visiting his parents' grave. Blood begins to emerge from the stone when a giant bat bursts through the wall and consumes him. This serves as a metaphor of how Batman is consuming himself. With Superman's introduction to the world, Bruce has become more ruthless and valiant, going as far as to now branding criminals and even killing others. This film took a fresh look at Batman. In the beginning, we saw he was chosen, but after decades of crime fighting at great loss to himself, he slowly came to the realization it was all a waste, as the city of Gotham is no better off than when he began fighting crime. His experience led him to become cynical, and this leads to him being much more brutal. This darkness in Bruce is already present, but with Superman's appearance is magnified and refocused. Superman serves as a scapegoat for Batman's anger and fear. He's seen how men have become corrupt. Batman himself somewhat fell into the cycle, and the thought of such power being corrupt inspires fear in him. So, as a creature of fear, Bruce don't run away from his fear. He does what he always done. He embraced it. But that fear is causing him to become a beast, and if he continues down this path, he threatens to destroy both his parents' legacy and himself. Once again, we're brought back to the tale of King Arthur, or more directly, the film Excalibur. Batman's story arc compares to King Arthur's search for the Holy Grail, in which both characters lose their sense of purpose after being on the quest of justice for so long. This is the cause of Bruce's anger, which fuels him throughout the film. Batman's fears is reinforced by this dream. It shows Superman as a tyrant and how he's powerless to do anything about it. This scene does a lot of world building, but for the character of Batman, it taps into his psychology. Now, before we get into the Martha scene, once again the parallel is made between Bruce and King Arthur. First off, we have Batman and Superman fighting, echoing the relationship between Arthur and Lancelot. Next, we see Bruce wearing heavy armor, implying he's a knight much in the same way King Arthur is. Now, where King Arthur wields Excalibur, Bruce wields a spear made of kryptonite, with both weapons parallel to each other in their respective narrative. Both possess a green aura, are impaled in the stone, tossed into the water, and used to impale the main villain. At one point in the film, Bruce pulls his weapon from a stone, just as King Arthur pulled Excalibur from a stone. Later, Bruce tossed his weapon, seeing how he abused his power, just as King Arthur did Excalibur after his fight with Lancelot. Even Lois Lane takes on the role from the film Excalibur, taking on the role of Lady of the Lake by helping return this powerful weapon to our heroes. This brings us to our Martha scene. This is the turn point for our hero. In this moment, he sees Superman for the first time, not as a threat but as a selfishless man, since in his moment of death, he's only concerned with the well-being of others. In this way, Bruce understands he has become the bad guy, and in helping Superman, he sees a way to redeem himself. The film opens with the death of Bruce's parents and ends with Superman's death, and in both scenes, it focuses on the effect they had on Bruce. is at the end of the film where the foreshadowing at the beginning of the film comes full circle, where the death of his parents caused him to descend into darkness. Superman's death proves to inspire him, instilling hope in him and therefore lifting him from the darkness. And of course, the film wouldn't be able to wrap up neatly without making one last reference to King Arthur, where Bruce's ambition to gather up the Justice League is made clear, much in the same way King Arthur gathered the Knights of the Round Table.
There was a time above, a time before. There were perfect things, diamond absolutes. Things fall, things on earth, and what falls is fallen. In the dream, they took me to the light. A beautiful lie.
What's your position on the Bat Vigilante in Gotham?
Daily Planet. Wait, do I own this one? Or is that the other guy?
Civil liberties are being trampled on in your city. Good people living in fear.
Don't believe everything you hear, son.
I've seen it, Mr. Wayne. He thinks he's above the law.
The Daily Planet criticizing those who think they're above the law is a little hypocritical, wouldn't you say? Considering every time your hero saves a cat out of a tree, you read a puff-piece editorial about an alien who, if he wanted to, could burn the whole place down. There wouldn't be a damn thing we could do to stop him.
Most of the world doesn't share your opinion, Mr. Wayne.
Maybe it's the Gotham City in me. We just have a bad history with freaks dressed like clowns.
She's the key! Find too soon! Too soon! You're right about him! You've always been right about him! Fear him! Find us, Rose! You have to find us!
White Portuguese isn't carrying. What is it carrying? It's a weapon. It's a rock. A meteor capable of weakening Kryptonian cells. The first sample big enough to mean something turned up in the Indian Ocean 3 months ago. It is now aboard the White Portuguese being delivered to Lex Luthor. Why am I to steal it from him?
To keep it out of Luthor's hands. To destroy it.
No.
You're gonna go to war.
That son of a bitch brought the war to us 2 years ago. Jesus, Alfred, count the dead. Thousands of people. What's next? Millions. He has the power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty. And we have to destroy him.
But he is not our enemy.
Not today. 20 years in Gotham, Alfred. We've seen what promises are worth. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way?
You know you can't win this. It's suicide.
I'm older now than my father ever was. This may be the only thing I do that matters.
20 years of fighting criminals amounts to nothing.
Criminals are like weeds, Alfred. Pull one up, another grows in its place. This is about the future of the world. It's my legacy. You know, my father sat me down right here, Told me what Wayne Manor was built on.
Railroads, real estates, and oil.
First generation. Made their fortune trading with the French. Pelts, skins. They were hunters.
So falls the house of Wayne.
We're criminals, Alfred. We've always been criminals. Nothing's changed.
Yes, it has, sir. Everything's changed. Men fall from the sky. The gods hurl thunderbolts. Innocents die. That's how it starts, sir. The fever, the rage, the feeling of powerlessness that turns good men cruel.